Good morning, students. Today we are starting our second unit, that is the time response analysis. So, what is mean by time response analysis? First of all, so response is nothing but what is mean by response? It is nothing but the output of a particular system, right? So whenever you are giving a input, so based upon the parameters and components which you are using in the control system, you are obtaining the particular output of a system. That is nothing but you are saying it as a response of a system, which is represented as C of t, right? So time response is nothing but you are obtaining the response which is a function as a function of time, so it is nothing but you are saying it as a the output is in time domain, so whatever you are obtaining the output now, okay, so that output is in time domain, okay, so that output is going to be analyzed, for a particular system, okay. So based upon the input you will have a particular output, and that output is going to be analyzed here, okay. So that is nothing but you are saying it as a time response analysis of a system, okay. So see here, the first definition, time response. So already I have said, so time response is nothing but it is the output of the closed loop system as a function of time. It is denoted by C of t, okay. And the time response can be obtained. So how you are obtaining the response? By solving some differential equations governing the system, right? So we have already discussed in the first unit. So you will have the particular control system. For that control system you are going to derive the differential equations, and by solving those differential equations you are obtaining the response, right? So that response is nothing but you are saying it as a you are obtaining the response. So that response can be obtained from a transfer function. So finally what you are deriving for a particular control system by using differential equations, transfer function is deriving, right? So that based upon the transfer function you are obtaining the response. How you are obtaining the response? So transfer function is nothing but you are saying it as a Laplace transform of output by Laplace transform of input. So what is Laplace transform of output? It is nothing but C of S by R of S. Laplace transform of output is nothing but C of S. Laplace transform of input is nothing but R of S, right? So by using that particular transfer function, now you are going to have a C of S. So what is the closed loop transfer function formula? G of S by 1 plus G of S into H of S, right? So that is represented, that actual value is represented as M of S, that is nothing but closed loop transfer function, okay. So now by using this, now what how you can say the actual output in S domain as C of S is equal to R of S into M of S, that is nothing but the output or response in a S domain, that is nothing but it is given as a product of transfer function and the input, okay. So what is transfer function here? That is nothing but M of S. What is input here? Input is nothing but R of S, okay. So now you have to now you should obtain the actual response in a time domain, right? So time domain lo maniki response ravalante em chestamma? So once again you are applying the inverse Laplace transform for the C of S, okay. So whenever you are applying the inverse Laplace transform for the C of S, okay, you will obtain the C of t, okay. C of t is equal to now Laplace inverse of C of S, that is equal to Laplace inverse of R of S into M of S, okay. Where M of S, what is M of S? M of S is nothing but G of S by 1 plus G of S into H of S, okay. Now see here all of you, now you know that you have obtained the response in the form of a time domain, that is nothing but C of t, yes or no? So you have to analyze that actual response, okay. So the time response of the given control system is having two parts here. So you are splitting that actual response into two parts, okay, for analyzing. That actual responses is nothing but the transient response and the steady state response. The transient response and the steady state response. So what is mean by transient response once again? Okay, so the transient response is nothing but the response of a system when the input changes from one state to another. So if you are obtaining the response of a system when input is changing, okay, then you are saying that you are having a transient response of that particular system. Okay, what is mean by steady state response? It is nothing but response is, it is the response as time t approaches infinity. As time t approaches infinity, it is nothing but time is going to infinity. We don't have a particular time here. Okay, so for that such cases, if you have the response, you are saying that it is a steady state response. So finally you will have two responses. You are going to study your response in the form of two responses. One is transient response and the other one is steady state response here. Okay, now your response is depending upon the input, right? Yes or no? So your response, whatever you are obtaining, C of t, that is depending upon the input and the transfer function. So m of s is nothing but the transfer function, and you have r of s as input. Yes or no? So now depending upon the input, based upon the input here, your output is changing. So whenever input is changing, output is going to be changing. That means response is changing. Yes or no? So now based upon the input, now you are testing your particular response. Okay, so now those signals which you are testing for obtaining your particular responses, those signals are nothing but the test signals. Those signals are nothing but the test signals. Okay, so what is meant by test signal here? The knowledge of input signal is required to predict the response of the system. So before using that actual particular system, if you want to obtain the what will be the output, that is nothing but prediction. So you are going to give some signals for the system, and you are testing your system whether it is obtaining the output or not. Okay, so such type of signals are nothing but the test signals. Okay, so in most of the systems, the input signals are not known ahead of time, and also it is difficult to express the input signals mathematically by simple equations. Okay, so in such cases, okay, so you don't know to express your actual input signals mathematically. For such cases you are using these test signals. Okay, so these test signals is possessing some characteristics. Okay, which will be as actual input signals, which is possessing the characteristics which is having those characteristics for your input signals. Okay, so what are the such characteristics is nothing but it will have a sudden shock or sudden change, a constant velocity and a constant acceleration. Constant velocity and constant acceleration. So such characteristics resembles, okay, if those test signals is having those characteristics, then you are using the test signals as a input signals to predict the performance of the system. Performance is nothing but here the responses of the system. So if the signals which you are giving as a input for obtaining a particular response of a system, okay, so if that signals is having these characteristics which is same as the input characteristics, then you are using these signals as a input signals. Okay, so see here, what are the most commonly used test input signals. Okay, so the most input commonly used test signals are nothing but the step signal, ramp signal, okay, parabolic signal, you will have the impulse signal. Okay, so all these signals which you are using, okay, these are nothing but the test signals. These are also called as a standard test signals. Okay, see here you will have the step signal as a unit step signal also. Okay, step signal and unit step signal. Second one is ramp signal and unit ramp signal. Third one is parabolic signal and unit parabolic signal. Fourth one is impulse signal, and fifth one is sinusoidal signal. And fifth one is sinusoidal signal. Okay, how the signals will be expressed in terms of in the form of a mathematical representation. So directly the input signal cannot be represented in the form of a mathematical expressions or representations, but these signals which you are using as inputs, the test signals, these are possessing the characteristics of the input signals, right? So you are using these signals as a standard test signals as input signals. Okay, but these signals are having the these signals can be represented in a form of a mathematical representation. Okay, how you are representing it? Okay, so see the first one, step signal. So a step, you are saying it as a step. Step is nothing but a particular magnitude. Just you will have a particular magnitude. Okay, a single magnitude. So if your signal value is changing from 0 to a, 0 to a at t is equal to 0 and remains constant at a, okay, for t greater than 0, then you are saying it as a test signal. So all of you see here the representation of the step signal. So at t is equal to 0, you have the magnitude as a. After t greater than 0, as time is increasing, what happens to the magnitude of the signal? The magnitude is going to be as a constant. So below less than t less than 0, what will be the magnitude? The magnitude is equal to 0. Okay, so now you are representing this in the form of a mathematical representation. Okay, so how you are representing it? R of t is equal to 1. R of t is equal to 1 when t greater than or equal to 0, and is equal to 0 when t less than 0. Okay, so this is the mathematical representation of a step signal. So if you are actually you are representing this actual mathematical representation for a unit step signal. Why? Because r of t is equal to, what is the value? 1. If it is a, you are saying it as a step signal. If it is 1, you are saying it as a unit step signal. Okay, now what is the second one? Ramp signal. Ramp signal is nothing but if the ramp signal is a signal whose value increases linearly with time from an initial value of 0 at t is equal to 0. So as time is increasing from t is equal to 0, if the value of the magnitude is increasing linearly with time, then you are saying it is a ramp signal. Okay, so the ramp signal is resembles a constant velocity input to a system. Constant velocity input to a system. Okay, as time is increasing, the velocity is also increasing here. Okay, so how you are representing the mathematical representation of a ramp signal? Okay, so the mathematical representation of a ramp signal is nothing but r of t is equal to a into t. When it is a into t, when t is greater than or equal to 0. When t is greater than or equal to 0. So when time t is equal to 0, you are representing the value as a into t. After t is greater than or equal to 0 also, the value is a into t. So below t less than 0, what is the value? The value will be 0. The value will be 0 because you will have the negative value. So you are representing those values as a 0. You are showing it as a 0 value. Okay, so if it is a unit ramp signal, how you are representing? R of t is equal to, your magnitude of A is equal to 1 now. So R of t is equal to t. Okay, R of t is equal to t when t greater than or equal to 0. Okay, and the next one, that is the parabolic signal. Parabolic signal. So in parabolic signal, the instantaneous, the parabolic signal, the instantaneous values varies as a square of the time from initial value to initial value of 0 at t is equal to 0. So you are taking the instantaneous value which is varying as a square of the time, as a square of the time. Okay, so the sketch of the signal is nothing but here. So how you are representing the sketch of a signal? So this is the sketch of the signal which is representing the parabola. Okay, so this is the parabolic signal which is varying with as a square, values varies as a square of the time. Okay, now you are saying that the parabolic signal which is resembling the constant acceleration input to the system. It is a constant acceleration which is having for the system. So now how you are representing the mathematical representation of the parabolic signal? So the mathematical representation of the parabolic signal is nothing but R of t is equal to a into t square by 2. That is nothing but the parabolic signal representation. So when t is greater than or equal to 0. So if the magnitude of the signal is 1, that is nothing but it is a unit parabolic signal. So finally you are representing it as R of t is equal to t square by 2 when t greater than or equal to 0, and if t is less than 0, there won't be any magnitude. So finally you are representing it as 0. Okay, so finally the mathematical representation of this parabolic signal is nothing but R of t is equal to a into t square by 2, and for the unit parabolic signal R of t is equal to t square by 2. So this is nothing but integral of step signal. You can say it as integral of step signal, which is nothing but a ramp signal, and integral of ramp signal is nothing but you can say it as a parabolic signal. Okay, now the fourth one is nothing but the impulse signal. So what is impulse signal here? Impulse signal is nothing but a signal of very large magnitude which is available for very short duration is called as impulse signal. So for very short duration, it is nothing but at t is equal to 0, you will have a very large magnitude. So what is that magnitude value? That is nothing but delta of t. So at t is equal to 0, as t is approaching to infinity, the magnitude of your R of t is nothing but delta of t. Okay, so now the ideal impulse signal is a signal with infinite magnitude and 0 duration, but with an area of a, so this is nothing but ideal impulse signal. Okay, so you have the two representations here. See here, in the first representation R of t is equal to delta of t when t is approaching to from 0 to infinity. Okay, when you have the 0 duration but with an area of a, that is nothing but you are representing it as 1 by delta, that is the time, and area is nothing but a by delta. So finally this is nothing but the ideal impulse signal. Okay, so how you are representing this ideal impulse signal means, so delta of t is equal to infinity at t is equal to 0, Okay, and in other cases it is 0 when t is not equal to 0, 0. Here delta of t is nothing but the response. You can represent it as r of t also. So r of t value is nothing but infinity at t is equal to 0, and in other cases it is 0 when t is not equal to 0. Okay, like this you are representing the representation, mathematical representation for the test signals. Okay, so this is a table which is representing the standard test signals. Okay, so name of the signal, so you have used the 4 test signals, that is step, ramp, parabolic and impulse. So what will be the magnitude for the response r of t in time domain, and in r of s, it is nothing but the Laplace transform of the signal, that is nothing but s domain. Okay, so what will be the magnitude of r of t? See here, for the step it is nothing but in time domain you are using it as a, and if it is in s domain you are representing it as a of s. Okay, if it is a unit step, the magnitude of the a is nothing but here 1. So finally what will be the r of s? So 1 for if you are applying the Laplace transform for the 1, what will be the value? It is 1 by s. Okay, so now ramp is nothing but what is the equation? At, right? So at in time domain, in s domain how you are representing? A by s square. So for t, if you are applying the Laplace transform, it is nothing but a by s square, right? Unit ramp means the magnitude of a is equal to 1. So finally you have the value as t, right? So for that what will the response r of s? It is nothing but 1 by s square. Okay, so for parabolic what will be the output? So at square by 2, at square by 2. So the magnitude of a is equal to 1. It is nothing but you are saying it as unit parabolic. So it is nothing but t square by 2. So it is in time domain. If it is in s domain you are representing it as a by s cube. Okay, for parabolic, and 1 by s cube for unit parabolic. Okay, and finally the last test signal is impulse signal. So impulse signals, what is the value? Delta of t, right? So for that Laplace transform in s domain means it is representing it as 1. Okay, like this you are using these test signals as a input for your control system, and finally you are obtaining the response. So your response r of t will be in time domain, and you are analyzing that response in the form of 2 states, that is nothing but the steady state response and the transient state response. Okay, and see the order of the system. So now before obtaining the response, so you are giving input and you are obtaining the output for the control system. So in between, if you want to obtain the response, first of all you have to write the differential equations for the control system. Yes or no? So that is nothing but if you are writing the differential equations, okay, so for every differential equations there will be the order of the system. So now you are representing the order of your actual system, that is nothing but order of the differential equations. Okay, now see here, the input and output relationship of a control system can be expressed by the nth order differential equation. So what will be the nth order differential equation means? So if you are representing the input and output relationship of a control system, you can represent it as a naught into d power n by dt power n into p of t plus a1 into d power n minus 1 by dt n power n minus 1 into p of t plus a2 into d power n minus 2 by dt power n minus 2 into p of t, and so on. Okay, that is equal to b naught into d power m by dt power m into q of t plus b1 d power m minus 1 by dt power m minus 1 into q of t plus, and so on. Okay, where p of t is nothing but output, or you can say it as a response, and q of t is equal to input or excitation. Okay, now you are saying the order of the system as the order of the system is given by the order of the differential equation governing the system. If the system is governed by nth order, okay, then you are saying that the system is nothing but a nth order system. Okay, so now you know the output equation and the input equation. Yes or no? So from the above equation, So the P of t representation is nothing but the output equation, output differential equation, and Q of t is nothing but the input differential equation. So if you know the output equation and input equation, you can find the transfer function T of S. Yes or no? So now if the order can be determined from the transfer function of the system. Okay, order can be determined by the transfer function of the system. So how you are determining the order means, the transfer function of a system can be obtained by taking the Laplace transform of the differential equations. The Laplace transform of the differential equations, that is nothing but output by input. Yes or no? So now transfer function T of S is equal to P of S by Q of S. P of S by Q of S. What is P of S now? P of S is nothing but, what is P of S? So P of S is equal to B naught into S power m plus B1 into S power m minus 1 plus B2 into S power m minus 2 plus and so on, divided by Q of S is nothing but Q of S A naught into S power n plus A1 into S power n minus 1 plus A2 into S power n minus 2 plus and so on. Okay. See here, T of S is equal to output by input. What is output? P of t, right? So you can see here a small mistake, output is nothing but, so consider here T of S is equal to Q of S by P of S. Q of S by P of S. Okay, Q of S by P of S. Okay, where P of S is equal to numerator polynomial and Q of S is equal to denominator polynomial. So the order of the system is nothing but now the maximum power of S in the denominator polynomial. The order of the system is nothing but, it is given as a maximum power of S in the denominator polynomial. Okay. So what is denominator polynomial here? A naught into S power n plus A1 into S power n minus 1 plus A2 into S power n minus 2 plus and so on, plus n minus 1 into S plus an. Right. So if you have the n as a power for S, then you are saying it as a order, nth order system. If n is equal to 0, you are saying it as a 0 order system. If n is equal to 1, it is saying you are saying it as a first order system. N is equal to 2, the system is nothing but a second order system. Like this, based on the denominator polynomial, based on the denominator maximum power of S in the denominator polynomial, you are saying the order of the system. Okay. So the order can be here, see here, the order can be specified for both the open loop and also the closed loop system. For open loop and also the closed loop system. Okay. Now how you are representing the numerator and denominator polynomial equations in a factorized form. So for each and every differential equations you will have the roots. Yes or no? You will have the roots. Okay. So if you are going to derive the roots for the given differential equations, then you can represent your actual polynomials in the form of a factorized form. Okay. So T of S is equal to P of S by Q of S, that is equal to, okay, so in the numerator polynomial that can be represented in a factorized form as S plus Z1 into S plus Z2 into and so on S plus Zm by S plus P1 into S plus P2 and so on up to S plus Pn, right? So where Z1, Z2 and so on Zm are the zeros of the system, and P1, P2, P3 and so on up to Pn are the poles of the system. Okay. So whatever the roots you are getting for the differential equations in the numerator, those roots are nothing but the zeros of the system, and if you are obtaining the roots for the denominator polynomial equation, those roots are nothing but you are saying it as a poles of the system. Okay. So hence you are saying that the value of n gives the number of poles in the transfer function. Okay, because how, what is the order of the system? Order of the system is nothing but the representation of the denominator the representation of the denominator polynomial, right? So now the n value which you are getting here, that is representing the number of poles of the transfer function. If n is equal to 2, means you will have two roots, means it means you will have the two poles for the given transfer function. Okay, like this you are going to derive the zeros and poles of the given control system. Okay, so uh, so in the next class we can uh, we can study about the partial fraction expansion. So now you are saying that the actual differential equations which you are obtaining in the denominator and numerator, those are representing in the form of a factorized form. So you will get the roots in the form of a multiple roots or separate roots, or it may be in the form of a complex conjugate roots, right? So based upon the roots which you are obtaining here, okay, so based upon the roots here, you are categorizing, okay, you are categorizing the partial fraction expansion, okay, in three cases. So what is the first case? In the first case you are using the function with separate poles. So if you are considering the denominator differential equation, if you have the roots as a separate roots, not repeated roots, you are saying that case as a functions with separate poles, okay. And what is case 2? Functions with multiple poles. So if you have the roots as the same roots, so that means the differential equations with the differential equation for the denominator, okay, will have the roots. If the roots for the differential equation is going to be repeated, then that is nothing but the case to partial fraction expansion. So function with multiple poles. Okay, then if you have that case, how you are going to have the output response for that control system in time domain, you are going to solve that problem. Okay, and what is case 3? Functions with complex conjugate poles. Functions with complex conjugate poles, it means nothing but it is in the form of x plus jy. So if the roots for the differential equation in the denominator is in the form of x plus jy, then how you are going to solve the actual transfer function. Okay, so like this you are obtaining the output of a transfer function by solving all the differential equations poles in the denominator. Okay, so c of t is equal to you are saying it as transfer function into r of t. So after finding the r of t, if you are going to multiply with the transfer function, you are obtaining the c of t. Okay, so in the next class we can see how the roots how you are going to simplify these three cases. Okay, if you have these three cases in the given differential equations. Okay, and after that you can we are going to study about the response of the first order system based upon the inputs, whether it is a unit step input or unit ramp input or unit parabolic input, like that. Okay, so you are going to find the responses of the first order system, second order system, okay, based upon the inputs which you are giving for a system. Okay. Okay, all of you listen to this introduction class of the time response analysis today. Okay, see you, bye. If you have any doubts, please ask in a comment box.